I try to pretend this YouTube account isn't a World of Warcraft gaming channel, and sometimes I fool myself. I play WoW more than any other game, and while there are games I'm looking forward to playing, I enjoy spending most of my time, if not all of my free time, in WoW. And when I'm not raiding in Mob Classic, I'm spending a lot of that time in Mythic Plus, and I've come to ponder the question, is it rude or relatable to be bad at video games? Now, I want to start off by making it clear that I'm going to be talking about competitive group-oriented content, and specifically in World of Warcraft. The main gameplay aspect I'm going to be referencing is Mythic Plus, also known as Keys in WoW. Mythic Plus is a common game mode in World of Warcraft. The point of the gameplay is to complete a dungeon, which is an instance-based aspect of the game, with 100% of a meter, and before the timer runs out. Enemies are buffed both in damage and in health. There are two special aspects. One is called tyrannical, meaning the bosses hit harder and they are healthier, and fortified, meaning the mobs in the dungeon hit harder and they are healthier. There are also additional mechanics group have to master, such as handling abilities like these balls for instance, or collecting these orbs. The challenge of the dungeons gets harder as the key goes up, with keys starting at a +2 and can go up to an infinite number in theory, but most players don't see past the +10. Completing the dungeon in time adds to your total character score, and the better you do in these keys, the better your score, meaning in theory the higher the key you can do. There are also rewards for doing these keys, such as upgraded gear, a mount for hitting a certain overall score, which is 2k, portals for completing every dungeon in this season as a +10, and even a title if you hit high enough. The problem is, the keys system, or Mythic Plus, is tied to the in-game looking for group system, and that system has issues. And those issues stem from one common denominator: players. Players control who gets invited to a key. You have two options. You can put your own key up and wait for other players to apply, or you can apply yourself to other groups. Each has its own drawbacks, and no option is easy. In fact, probably the easiest way to raise your score is to have friends. But we all know how hard that is. There are countless of players applying to these keys, and roles are not even. I don't have exact numbers, but there are likely double the DPS applying for a key than tanks and healers, which means depending on your role, you can be waiting for a while to be accepted, or to even get people applying to your own key. Also, not only depending on your role, but also your spec. WoW has 13 playable classes, with 39 specs total. That's a lot for Blizzard to balance, and every season there's always a top and a bottom. Many players enjoy playing the top classes, or specs, while the bottom classes, or specs, tend to not get any or few playtime. These top classes / specs are usually referred to as meta, which, like in any other game, means the best at this given time. So, if you're not playing a meta class or spec, you could potentially be waiting even longer to be invited to a key. The trick here is you can do any key +10 and under with any comp. All you need is one tank, one healer, and 3 DPS. It really is bring the player and not the class for these low keys. But that's another problem, bringing the player. WoW players are like a box of chocolates. You never know who you're going to get. And this is no flame on players' skills, but a fact. Some players are just better than others. And this is not just skill-wise, but knowledge and research. Do you research a new dungeon before you go into it? Do you look at an optimal route? Do you know what mob to kick? What mob to CC? What mob hits like a truck? Do you know your DPS rotation to pump out the most damage? Do you understand boss mechanics? Score doesn't tell you about this about a player. It only tells you if the player has completed a key at a certain level. Sure, if someone has a high score, you can assume they know what they're doing in regards to the above, but again, that's just an assumption. So with all this laid out, I pose the question, is it rude to be bad at Mythic Plus? And therefore, is it rude to have a low skill level in any game that requires group coordination to complete a competitive goal? I believe it's out of touch, and it can be considered rude. Time isn't infinite. Not everyone has the same amount of time to play the game. Therefore, playing with others who don't respect your time is rude. Mythic Plus and even raiding are competitive aspects of World of Warcraft. They are, by design, meant to push players to be their best. And having even one player show up not prepared can ruin the experience for the whole group. Players should take the time to learn before they engage in this content. I fault Blizzard for not making this learning experience easier in-game. However, there are plenty of ways to gain this knowledge outside of game. YouTube guides, tutorials, written tutorials, content creators, there's plenty. But realistically, not every player is going to do this. And as I said before, the lower keys are quite easy. They can be done with any spec, any class, any comp, whatever. The difference is in the keys, when everyone knows what they're doing versus only some knowing. The keys feel smoother. The odds of wiping are lower, which in turn makes the odds of not timing the key lower, which in turn makes it easier to get a higher score. So if raising skill level equals making the game easier, why are players not incentivized to enhance their skill level? World of Warcraft gives rewards for having a high score in Mythic Plus and titles for rating at the highest level, but what of other games, for example? League of Legends used to give you a Victoria skin for reaching gold or higher, but now it gives the skin for just winning 15 ranked games, regardless of your rank. Marvel Rivals is taking the old League approach, where you have to reach gold to acquire the skin, but is this all even worth it for the players to take the time to raise their skill levels? Mounts, skins, portals, titles, they're all digital collectible content. If a player doesn't care, and they aren't wanting to get better, and if they don't care about how it affects others, what can be implemented to help the issue of playing with these types of players? Would an MMR rating system work for Mythic Plus, where instead of using the LFG system, Mythic Plus was instance, as in you can queue for it, and you get queued into groups based on your current MMR, your Mythic Plus score. For example, if you're between 0 and 500 Mythic Plus score, you'd only get queued with others who are in the same plus score bracket. Is there a way Blizzard can showcase more of a player's skill level than just a basic M+ score and damage meters? Is there a way to teach newer or lower skill players the skills in-game without them having to go to an outside source? I'm not really sure. Would this MMR stop people from being unprepared, or would it make it worse? Overall, to me, Mythic Plus is a fun, engaging system of WoW. It's challenging without being restricting to finding a guild. You can, although sometimes not easily or quickly, pug it, and it does give really cool rewards, aside from the gear upgrades. You can do a key at any time. Obviously, depending on your region and time zone, you could be waiting a while. However, it's much more flexible than raiding. But there definitely needs to be some changes, and I'm not sure what changes Blizzard can implement to help, since a lot of the issues are from the community as a whole. If players don't have good incentive to get better, they simply won't. They'll join a key and not know what to do and expect to be carried, and in lower keys, that's what's happening. They're being carried. But is this rude, or is it just relatable? In any case, what are some of your thoughts for those who have watched this video and have listened to me ramble on? What, if anything, would you like to see different about Mythic Plus, or do you think it's fine as it is? And as always, cheers.